The first myth in this video should be impossible, and that is that Thatcher's EMP can disable one of the active robots in Rainbow Six Siege. And you heard me right, if you've not seen a new season's operator Skopos, she comes with 2 robots. So we're only one step away from Rainbow Six Titanfall. Now this myth itself actually comes straight from Ubisoft because they said this in the reveal for this new operator.
While Skopos' shells are electronic, the active shell has an active countermeasure that protects it from anti-electronic effects.
So according to the reveal, there should be no major impact from the EMP other than not being able to switch to the other robot. However, after a week on the test server, this interaction has changed. You now get a mute jammer-like effect on your screen. You can still move and you can still shoot, but you cannot see anything for 15 seconds. Now I do like this change because it turns the EMP into a fully aggressive gadget when you're in a 1v1 with Skopos' robots. But it being 15 seconds of blindness makes me think it maybe is not actually intentional. However, I do love it because it just makes the EMPs super scary when you're playing as this operator. Maybe getting reduced down to 5 seconds would be pretty cool. But right now the testing shows that this is a confirmed myth. And then when it comes to the inactive robots, they get disabled just like a gadget would. So you cannot go into them and take control, and they cannot see anything. Destroying the inactive robot counts as a kill, which means now you can get 6 kills per round if this defender is on the enemy team. Well, this was the case immediately when the test server went up, but it has been since patched out. And the reason for this is that this is considered a gadget when it's inactive and was always supposed to, but they just hadn't got to that part of it yet. So what happens when you kill one of these inactive ones? You get the points for destroying a camera. The interesting thing is, when you destroy the active one, you get a kill, plus also the points for destroying a camera. Now let's move on to something that should be impossible, and that is flashing a robot. Because a Flashbang or Blitz's shield should not be able to overload the optics and white it all out for a certain amount of time, and certainly not the same as what it would be for a human, that's for sure. But there's obviously been some balancing changes that don't really reflect reality, especially when you've got 2 robots and you're active in one and it gets shot and killed, then you should of course be able to just jump into the second one, and that is not doable. I'll also mention that your inactive robot is actually immune to flashbangs. So the same kind of thing here is that the robots can be flashed just like they're a human player, although has anyone actually confirmed that the other players aren't robots? They keep coming back from the dead. Anyway, these robots when they're flashed make the most ungodly of noises. And be noted, you can change to your robots during a flash if you want. It doesn't stop you doing that, so that may be a good little escape plan. And then we have another obvious balancing choice that has been chosen, and that is that the shells can be affected by Echo's drone. And this also extends out to things like Ella mines and stuff like that. But the effect is exactly the same as a human player. So the robot is somehow getting affected by these sonic hits, which shouldn't be happening, I would imagine. But it's definitely an obvious choice that they've chosen to take in order to have consistency with most operators. The robots can be destroyed with fire. This makes perfect logical sense, and both the active and inactive robots will be destroyed by fire.
Enemy is attacking auxiliary shell.
Friendly operator remaining.
Dokkaebi can call the robots. Well, actually, she can only call one of them. The inactive one is completely immune to Dokkaebi. But because they don't have phones, they cannot switch off the call, and it is a different noise, a little bit more subtle a noise than the phone calls. And the shells in their first person perspective get a HUD element right in the middle of their screen, which I think looks quite cool, but after maybe 100 games I'm going to find it kind of annoying. It also stops you transferring to the other shell. There's also a visual indication as well with a tiny little red LED on the robot that shows up. Now this has changed. The early previews actually showed them covered in different LED lights that would light up when they were called. They seem to have decided to make the lighting a little bit more subtle. Also be noted that when Dokkaebi hacks into the camera system, the attackers will be able to see through the cameras of the inactive robot. Brava can hack the shells. So this is actually a bit of busted and confirmed here. So the inactive shells she can hack into. She cannot control them, which would of course be absolutely amazing if she could, but she can overheat them like she can do with some other gadgets. However, this is a little bit different because when her progress bar of the hack goes up to full and then it begins the overheat, Brava can actually get off her drone and move, making her really good at potentially baiting Skopos into actually getting into her drone to stop the overheat. But because Brava can actually get off of her drone while the overheat is in progress, which normally would cancel stuff like that, she can just be there ready to take out that operator as soon as they swap into their shell. Now when it comes to the active robot, she does nothing whatsoever. I think it would have been fun if it was to like invert the controls of the player playing the robot, just for maybe even a couple of seconds. I think that would have been hilarious. But she has zero effect on the active drone. And also remember, when you do attempt to overheat the drone, even if you fail, then you are using up one of your charges. So in a lot of cases, it won't be worth doing. Now in a lot of cases, you can expect the robots to behave very similar to normal operators when it comes to speed, health, fall damage, and a lot of other things, but there is a variety of stuff that makes them very different from normal operators. And those things are the inability to pick up Rook armor, the inability to go into the down but not out status, and the inability to get healed by either Thunderbird or Doc. And if you do try to heal this operator, you get some really fun voice lines.
Don't waste that. Use it on someone with blood. Healing is not going to work. Seriously, they need a mechanic, not a medic. Did you just use medicine on metal?
Now, one thing that oddly is the same as normal operators is actually the spray from impacts. And this, I assume, is oil coming from the robots.
Shoot my fucking hardware!
And this will be exactly the same as what you would see on a normal operator. I assume they've left this in because it is a visual indicator that you can use to figure out where people have been or have gone to. And although the inactive one doesn't have this same spray, if you actually watch carefully, when the operator switches to the active one, suddenly that spray appears out of nowhere. Now, we started this episode off by talking about a change in the test server that may end up being a bug and they'll fix later, but this next one is a very intentional change that I believe to be 100% coming to the live servers, and it is simply that an inactive shell on a roof hatch will be destroyed if the roof hatch is removed below it. Of course, an operator, if that was to happen, would fall down, and they might take some damage from an explosion or whatever, but for the most part, they will of course be alive. But because the inactive shell is considered to be a gadget, it is actually instantly destroyed. But then I noticed with one of the patches this week that you could no longer put your shells onto roof patches that actually stops you entirely, even if you reinforce them. And I would definitely put this one down as a deliberate change for sure. I don't think they liked the initial interaction that it had. Now guys, I'm going to end this video with a little Easter egg, but let me know what you would like tested next with this operator, because I still have a bunch of stuff to edit and I'm definitely only halfway through at this moment in time. Now let's do a little bonus Easter egg, and that is the name of the weapon used by the robots is the PCX-33. And those initials have a major connection to a wheelchair operator, and that would be Professor Charles Xavier, of course the extremely famous character from Star Trek.